Okay, so today's guest, I have something very specific in common with. Alexa Heath didn't wait until she had clarity or business plan or the perfect moment. She started Young and Stamped, her group travel company for young adults, during her senior year of college because she looked around and noticed nobody was creating community for young travelers who wanted to explore the world but didn't want to do it alone. So she just started doing it. Group trips, community experiences. She's been to 4 out of 7 continents, starting traveling at 16, and turned all of that into a whole company. She also spent a year and a half in corporate marketing, balancing a 9 to 5 with running her own thing on the side. And she had actually already decided that she was going to leave. She was mentally done, ready to go all in. And then her job beat her to it and fired her. And for those who have been listening for this long, doesn't that sound familiar? She took that as a green light, and since she launched Avari Travel, a custom
Mhm.
travel agency, and AH Social Media, a content creation and strategy house, she's building 3 companies at once in real time and on TikTok for everybody to see. She sold out an entire North Carolina ski tour within minutes of launching, and then took Young and Stamp internationally to the French Alps that sold out in about 2 months.
Mhm.
Alexa, welcome to Unclocked and Unbothered. I feel like we were supposed to have this conversation.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. I love that intro, and I'm excited to learn a little bit more about you. And I know I'm guessing you talk about kind of just leaving corporate America or I guess being pushed out because you said it kind of might be familiar to your audience. So I'm excited to kind of learn what else has happened since you started your podcast.
Yeah, so this podcast is all about like the people that are kind of feeling stuck in that 9 to 5
Yeah.
or, grew up in a society where that was really our only option. And
Yeah.
it's for the people that are seeking wonderlust or have
Yeah.
questions or really waking
Yeah.
up from like we see it on social media, breaking out of the
Hmm.
matrix
Yes,
and
definitely.
but also feeling lost in it and not really knowing. So having these
Yeah.
conversation with guests that have
Hmm.
done it,
Yeah.
but not just glamorizing like the ending or like,
Mm.
oh, she has like this
Yeah.
together. No, I want to get real, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Because
Yeah,
freedom, a lot of freedom is glamorized and it comes with like, oh my God, like I get to do whatever I want. But
right.
you don't have like a company to fall back on.
Yeah,
You are the company.
it's scary, definitely.
It can be very scary. So,
Mhm.
okay, so let's go back to like that double life era because
Yeah.
I think that's such a specific kind of tension that a lot of people are
Mhm.
in right now. So,
Yeah.
what did that look like for you?
So for the year and a half that I was working corporate, it was a Monday through Friday. It was fully full time. So I was in the office. And this was my very first like corporate job. Out of college, I freelanced for about a year while I was hosting trips with Young and Stamped. But I wanted more stability and kind of like I guess more stability when it came to money to put into the company. So taking a corporate role just made sense at the time. And so when I was balancing for that year and a half, I was in the office Monday through Friday. And then really on the side or any chance that I could get, I was also, on my computer thinking of ideas for Young and Stamped. And I started Young and Stamped doing social events in North Carolina because I knew before I could expand to doing travel, I kind of needed to be known. It would be very rare that somebody would just decide to book a trip with a girl that has like no social media
Mhm.
presence. So with Young and Stamp, I was like, you know what, come and meet me, and then I'll introduce travel. So then people could go on my account and see, okay, she got 30 people together in a bar. So I would, be working in the office, but quite honestly, my job was very easy. I was a social media manager for like a luxury real estate agency, so I was on a marketing team of 5 other people, and my role was specifically social media. So the task that I was doing, it was the same thing for a year and a half. There was no expanding or anything. Actually, towards the end, I got more responsibility about the last month or so before they let me go. So I kind of knew what to expect going into that job. So once I kind of completed the task, which took maybe an hour or two out of the day, it was all Young and Stamped, even whenever I was in the
Mhm.
office, which obviously then I wouldn't admit that I was working on my own stuff, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people can relate that, once they have their job done, they work on, their own thing. And so that's really what I was doing. So yeah, I would just be out and about. And I guess the good thing about my company is that I can work from wherever. So, I'd have my phone and I'd be making TikToks or on Canva or doing stuff like that. So it was just a lot of balancing. So Monday through Friday I was in the office, and then Saturday I was gone for the entire day, taking about 30 people skiing every weekend for about 2 months straight. So earlier this year was really, really busy for me. And then, I went to France at the end of my ski season, which was a week before they let me go. So I was let go. And then again, the very next day I had to host my final North Carolina ski trip. So I was let go, had to wake up at 4 a.m. the next morning to go to the mountains. And then the next week I was flying to France. So it was very, very go, go, go. And so that's really what it was like. I would say balance would be the one word that I would use to describe my year and a half of corporate and having the company, because I was just always doing one of the other or both at the same time.
Yeah, it was like you were
Yeah.
juggling both and then
Yeah.
trying to figure out like
Hmm.
was did you always know like you wanted to go full force into your business and you used your corporate job as like a safety net?
Yes, definitely. But definitely, I think whenever I started the company, there are some companies that are doing what I'm doing at a larger scale and, making a lot of money. And so I knew that it could happen. I didn't know what that would look like for me personally, because growing up, I've always kind of loved marketing. And so it was kind of a dilemma of like, I have my own thing and I'm very successful at it, but, I want to continue working in marketing and kind of climb that corporate ladder and,
Hmm.
have different positions within the marketing industry while growing my company. But it kind of got to a point, I would say, last fall, I kind of came to the realization that I really wanted to focus on my own company and see what it would look like if I put 100% of my time into it versus, splitting my time and trying to build up somebody else's company on their marketing team when I could just go in all of myself. But even that was just kind of a huge dilemma, because it's like, okay, well, if I go in on myself, kind of just everything about freelancing or building a business of like revenue and making money and making a living. And so I was using, like I said, my corporate to fund kind of the company and my lifestyle. But I did come to a realization maybe 6 or 7 months ago that this year I kind of wanted to prioritize the company. But I don't think that I would have left my corporate job because of the stability that it gave me. Um, and so I'm grateful to have been let go in the way that I was, because it kind of woke me up about this idea of corporate that I had of like, oh, this is so stable and you're safe. And it's like, no, you're actually not. Quite honestly, it's kind of a prison, but they market it
Hmm.
very, very well to be like, oh, you get your benefits and you get this and that. But also on the flip side, on a random Friday, they can fire you and not give
Hmm.
you a severance. At least in North Carolina, we're at will state. So they're not required. Like, I was let go and I didn't get anything,
Oh wow.
any compensation. Yeah, so that kind of was just like, oh, I'm absolutely done working for other people. So I think that kind of just woke me up of like, no way, like I'm never going to be in that position again. Yeah.
Yeah, like we're sold this image of like if we go into corporate or we get a like a typical 9 to 5, you will be
Hmm.
stable and you'll be comfortable. But
Yes.
that wasn't actually my experience either. Like I
Mm.
constantly was worried that I would be replaced. And I want to go
Mm.
back because
Hmm.
you mentioned that you have a marketing degree, you were
Yeah.
making content since you were a kid, but did the
Hmm.
corporate world ever feel like yours?
Yes and no. Yes, in the way that I love everything about marketing. I love how creative it is. I love kind of just brainstorming with the team and putting together ideas. Like, towards the end of my work, I realized that I wanted to move into more like experiential marketing with like experiences and stuff. But then I came to the realization that that's literally what I'm doing with Young and Stamped, is like building
Mm-hmm.
these experiences. So yes, in that way of like, I like the team element of it, but no in the way of the restrictions and the fake rules and the, oh, we have to do this, but it's like you just made that up. Like, I would always say in the office, I was like, I'm too Gen Z for this. Like, I am
Mm-hmm.
too, like, you're telling me I have to do this because of this, but it's like, you could just change that. Oh no, we can't change that because of why. So I would question things because it just didn't make sense for me, especially like going to school during COVID and watching the entire world kind of like pause and shut down, and we change things that had never been changed before. And then we try to revert back to the old ways and say we can't go back, but it's like I literally watched that happen. So no, in the way of being very restrictive, I didn't like that, and I've always known that I would not like the traditional, at least in the office, Monday through Friday. So it was nice to live that out and to be like, okay, yeah, I was right about that. And so it was good to experience that. So it's like, if I ever do return to the corporate life, later in my career or whatever, I know what to look out for, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
almost like a constant negotiation between the life you had and the life you were trying to create. And you were also
Hmm.
like realizing that, like, why am I putting all this energy into creating for someone else when I actually
Yeah,
have the capability of creating
definitely.
something for myself? Yeah, there are very rigid structures when it comes
Yeah.
to corporate society that, like, a lot of Gen
Hmm.
Zs can relate to that statement of
Yeah.
being like, and we're seen as like the generation where we're like almost lazy, but it's like
Yes.
this structures weren't built for us. Was there any hints of feeling like you were going to lose your job? Like, take me back to that day and what did that
Yeah.
moment feel like?
Um, so I'll answer the were there any hints of
Yeah.
the feeling? So, with me, I'm a very social person. I live online, I make content. In the office, people knew that I hosted trips and stuff. But again, this specific company, we only had 7 days of PTO for the entire year.
Wow.
So with that, I was, again, just doing everything I could for Young and Stamped on the side. But again, I had that realization in the fall that I needed more flexibility. So I would say around January, I went to my two managers and, I kind of asked, I was like, hey, I've been here for like a year and a half. Like, one, I wanted kind of more responsibility and I wanted a raise, but I also wanted to open the discussion of figuring out if we could maybe incorporate some hybrid into my schedule or if I could go unpaid for me to host my trips. I was like, look, I can do this job from anywhere. You guys know I can do my
Hmm.
job. I need more from you guys. Like, I'm giving everything, I'm showing up here, and they understood that, like, they knew, of course, this isn't their policy. Like, they're just working with, what they were told in as well. And so I kind of just opened up in January. I was like, is there any way I can go like unpaid for my trips? Because I had France in March, which was that was a 7 day trip. So that was all my PTO for the entire year.
Hmm.
And so again, they knew about France because I'm posting online about it, but I always made sure that like my company never interfered with work, if that made sense. So coming to them, I was very upfront. I was like, hey, like, is there any way, we can go unpaid? And so they were like, we'll talk about it essentially. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like, I did the responsible thing. You know what I mean? Like, I opened a conversation, whatever. Also, I was kind of over it because I knew like, hey, I'm going to be going to France. So, you know what I mean? So
Hmm.
in the most respectful way, it was kind of just like, whatever. But as far as that day, so now fast forward, I think it was like the last Friday of February. I'm out on my lunch break, and I had my last ski trip the next day on Saturday. So I'm out, and I just get a random call like, yeah, like, you're terminated essentially. Like,
Oh,
return
wow.
everything you have to the office. So this is 2 o'clock on a Friday. I still have all my crap in the office, and so I get that call, and I'm just shocked. I'm just like, what in the world? So I think I called my friend. And I was like, dude, they just fired me. And so I'm just like, I don't, this is again my first time ever being terminated. And I didn't expect it to be like this, quite
Yeah.
honestly. But again, this company is a bit crazy if you couldn't tell. So I go back to the office and my friend's just like, go in there and just get your stuff. And I'm like, okay. So I go in there and I hear that my managers are back from their conference in Florida and they're in another office. And so I just go in and like my work computer is like it's off of my desk. And so I just get my stuff and I just walk out and I looked on my phone and they had like logged me out of Instagram
Oh,
and like
wow.
our Google, our Gmail and stuff. So I was just like, all right, well, early release. And so I posted a TikTok walking out and I was like, getting fired on a Friday. It's kind of like a little early release. And so I just left. And so in the moment, I mean, it was shock, it was fear, it was anger, it was, I was definitely blindsided. And so that was literally it. And so I think I just emailed them and I was like, hey, because they were texting me and I was like, hey, like all communication needs to be
Yeah.
via email. And so that was really it. I like removed them from my LinkedIn. And then recently there, like the past week, there was a little bit of drama and some people had reached out to me and I was like, I don't work for you guys. Like they wanted me to do something and I was like, I didn't respond to them. I'm like, I don't work for you. That's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, in the moment, it was a lot, but I was just like, wow, this is what I've been thinking about for, since I started working is what would my life look like if I didn't have this job keeping me in an office Monday through Friday. So I think that was my first thought was like, okay, I have kind of what I wanted. And so now I just have to like make the most of it. So again, it's different for me because the reason I was let go was because I had my own company.
Hmm.
So it was immediately to work. It was like, yeah, I got fired, but the next day I had that trip. And then the following week I had France. So it was just like, okay, now that I have all of this free time, I need to make sure that I'm utilizing it to build a company. And so that's really what I've been doing since I was let go, is just trying to make every single day, proactive and putting one step forward. Yeah.
I think you needed that space. Like,
Hmm.
even though you were asking
Definitely.
for it to be unpaid, like they kind
Yeah.
of gave you like the whole time to be like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's very parallel to what happened to me too. Like I came from a
Mhm.
hearing specialist background and I
Oh,
was
nice.
basically building like the clinic from the ground up for
Oh.
over a couple of years. And then
Mm.
just one day, HR, it was a big company, HR just comes
Hmm.
in on a random 9 a.m. on a Thursday and was like,
Wow.
yeah, we need to sit down. And I'm like, oh, like you guys just want a tour of the clinic? And they're like, no, you're being terminated and this is this. And I was like, I got numb. Like,
Yeah.
but there was a little part of me because I was building my
Hmm.
spiritual business on the side.
Hmm.
I didn't have this podcast, but I knew I was
Yeah.
meant for more kind of thing.
Hmm.
I always knew
Mm.
like I never want to work a 9 to 5. This is just like a
Hmm.
stability thing to pay my bills so
Yes.
I don't have to live with
Hmm.
my parents, all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff, you know? And
Hmm.
so yeah, they fired me,
Hmm.
and the first thing I felt was relief. I was like,
Mm.
"Oh my God." Like in
Yeah.
Canada, we do get a severance and
Hmm.
whoever knows
Oh, nice.
how long it's going to be, but
Yeah.
and we have unemployment here and I will be
Okay.
okay. I'll be okay for a little
Exactly.
bit,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then that was on December 4th of 2025.
Hmm.
And then I was like,
Mm.
I'll
Oh,
just
wow.
find a
Okay.
job.
Recent.
Yeah, I was like, I'll find a part-time job. I'll just find
Yeah.
something because I want to build my
Yeah.
business. And it's 6 months
Hmm.
in and I'm still not working and I'm loving every part of it. It was the
Yeah.
fire I needed under my butt to
Hmm.
like get
Yes.
stuff going. But it also was a time
Definitely.
of like relaxing. I was so burnt
Yes.
out. I
Hmm.
would say the last 6 months before I got fired, I didn't do any kind of like one on
Hmm.
one session with anybody. I didn't have
Yeah.
the capacity.
Yeah.
I was so burnt out and I hated my
Hmm.
job. I felt so, I like being uncomfortable and I just
Mm.
felt so stagnant.
Mm.
So I literally asked the universe, I'm like, you know what, if
Yeah.
this is a sign, like, just
Hmm.
like fire me already. I don't like
Yeah.
this. I will
Ugh.
figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
And that's literally what happened.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like
I
a
love
lot of
that.
freedom, a lot of space. And then a
Hmm.
month later, like my ex broke up with me and I'm like, okay, that's
Mm.
even a bigger sign.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
I have nothing blocking me from like
Hmm.
nothing else
Yes.
taking my time. And that was scary
Yes.
because
It is. Yeah.
I'm like, how am I supposed to do this all alone?
Yeah.
Like I have no idea. And I'm just like,
Hmm.
let's just ride it out. Let's just ride
Yeah.
it out. And then a month ago, I was like, I dabbled in a lot of things. I was like, why don't you just last April, like the April before this, I was like, I want to start
Hmm.
a podcast, but I don't like
Hmm.
my voice and I don't know like what to say. Like I'm like, what
Yeah.
if I run out of ideas?
Hmm.
And then literally the year after that, like this April,
Hmm.
had the same idea. I'm like, no, let's start this podcast
Yeah.
with the experiences that I have and I can find other
Hmm.
people that are like that too
Heck
and we
yeah.
can like have conversations.
Yeah. I love
And a
that.
lot of things have changed in the last year. I'm more confident. Very parallel universe. It's really interesting.
Definitely.
And it's
Yeah.
so funny that you said a week ago, like
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
work reached out to you because a week
Hmm.
ago, um, so as a hearing specialist in Ontario, you go to a
Hmm.
convention through, so it doesn't matter what company you're with. You can even be an
Hmm.
independent hearing specialist, but April,
Hmm.
every May, the beginning of May before Mother's Day, we all go to Niagara Falls for a
Hmm.
like a 4 day convention. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I haven't been in the industry for 6 months. Like, I don't know what people
Yeah.
are gonna say to me. Like, are they gonna
Hmm.
ignore me? Like, I left on
Right.
good terms, but
Hmm.
no one reached out to me after I got fired. I had friends in the
Same.
company that just never reached out. I
Yes.
was like, I'm just gonna go on my own. I have a friend
Hmm.
from like school and back then
Hmm.
that will come along with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, but if it's not meant for me, I'm gonna see how I feel. Do I feel drained?
Yeah.
Am I like, oh, this is such bull? So then I go there,
Hmm.
and literally the night of, an ex coworker comes up to me, and I guess she took my
Mm.
role, and it was just a
Mm.
lot on her plate, and
Mm.
she put the blame on me instead of having corporate boundaries to be like, no, I have my own
Oh,
clinic to deal with. I cannot deal with another
right.
clinic. Yeah, she just there was also like alcohol involved and things like that
Of
that could
course. Yeah.
elevate it. But I was just like in my
Hmm.
moment, I was like, this is a sign. Like I was so happy. I was like, this
Yes.
is my sign.
This is,
Okay, I'm
yes,
over it. So
absolutely.
I'm like, let's just go
Yeah.
full force into this. What do I have to lose? Like she
Yeah.
threatened, she was like, don't use them as a reference. Like you are not a good
Hmm.
employee. And it's like, okay, you run the business. Like,
Right.
no.
What do you want from me? Like, I don't, yeah.
It's
Mm.
just crazy. Yeah, it was
That's
just like
insane
not professional. I
at
rather
all.
So that really showed me, I'm like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
If I have to move back like to my parents' house to start
Yeah.
this versus ever go
Mm-hmm.
back into that environment,
Yeah.
I think like I need to do that because I moved here because
Absolutely.
of like work and now I no
Yeah.
longer have that and I don't want that.
Yeah.
So let's transition now into like kind
Mm-hmm.
of the fears and
Yeah.
in the intake form you wrote something
Mm-hmm.
and you
Yeah.
said your biggest fear wasn't failing, it was being the reason for your own failure,
Yeah.
right? Can you say more
Mm.
about that? Because that's a very
Yeah.
specific kind of fear.
It's like when you know that you're good at something, right? Or in my case, I know that I have something that's special and it's solely my responsibility to get it to where it needs to be. So it's one thing to like dream of being successful, like, oh, I think I could be successful at this or that, but it's like, no, I know that I could be successful about this. I just
Mm,
have to be the reason why. And so I guess for me, it was always kind of like a lingering fear when it came to even freelancing, but especially building the company. It's like, if I don't wake up every single day and like do thing that needs to be, do things that need to get me to where I need to be, it's my fault. So I guess it's more so. And my friends call me crazy because they're like, you're not going to allow that to happen. And I'm like, I know, but it's just like, I don't know. It's just a little fear of just like not pushing myself to where I know I could be, if that makes sense.
mm, okay.
Yeah.
And what does the
Yeah.
fear like actually look like? How does it show up for you?
Me, it's like the fear comes from, I think, a little bit of like comparison. Like I look at
Mm,
other companies that are doing what I'm doing, and I look at when they started, where they're going, how many trips are they hosting, and then it's like, hold on, like I've been doing this since. And so I guess that is just that kind of comparison of like, dang, like I'm coming up on my third year of doing this. I'm not, you know, where I think I should be, or I'm not where they're
yeah.
at the same age, if that makes sense. But then I have to like reel that in and just remember, like, currently right now, it's just me. Like, I've done like a great job. Like, and I wouldn't say it's perfectionism, but like, I'm the type of person, and my friends try to tell me like not to think this way, but like, I feel like I can't relax until like I've earned it. And I know that's a
Yeah.
terrible thing to think about because it'll just keep on going, if that makes sense. Like in my head, it's like, okay, I can't like take a day off unless I sell out this trip, or like I can't go off and enjoy a week of summer this year unless I do this. And my friends like, you don't have to like kill yourself to enjoy something. But in my head, that's how I feel. Like if I haven't worked hard enough, I don't deserve a day off. Like I
Mm.
shouldn't just go relax by the pool because I haven't done this, this, and this. But again, it's a terrible mindset. So I don't know. It's kind of a mix of comparison and kind of make your own goals, and it's hard because I don't know. It's a lot.
You also have to
Hmm.
remember, like, you bring out your own perspective on things. Like,
Exactly.
a lot of
Yeah.
people rather have, like, a
Hmm.
woman-owned business versus, like, going to those big companies and giving them more
Yeah.
money to put in their pockets. When you went fully unemployed, like the day after
Hmm.
firing, the day after you got fired, you already felt like you were already preparing yourself to quit,
Yeah.
right? Because of like you were gonna go for it
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't really know what my plan was. Again, like I
Mm,
knew I had a week-long trip to France coming up, and then I also knew like I knew that I wanted to do something this summer, and then I knew I had Bali in August, and I knew I didn't have enough PTO. But I also didn't. I knew that I wasn't going to let not having PTO stop me, if that makes
yeah.
sense. So if in my head, what I would have done was I would have used up all my PTO for that trip to France in March and just worked until the summer and just saved up those couple of months and then left, if that makes sense. I was already saving up a bit because I wanted to move to New York later this year, so I'd already been saving up to move and stuff. So whenever I got fired, I was like, okay, well, I have a nice little chunk of savings. But yeah, I definitely was kind of mentally like, all right, like again, kind of just visualizing what my life looks like without having that role. So yeah, I definitely made up my mind of like, hey, look. And again, like they know me. Like I was just like, well, you guys already know I'm going. Like you guys, they all follow me on social media. Like I don't, one thing my mom said is like, you don't live in silence. Like she was like, you live very loudly. And this kind of goes back to like your coworker like confronting you in a very unprofessional way. Like that was the same vibe of like my old company. It's like they would ask me questions that like they knew the answer to because I posted content, or like on my LinkedIn I'm posting about
Mm.
my accomplishments of my company. I would also mention them because I did work for them, but I wasn't making myself small. And like none of my parents or friends were like, they were shocked in the way that it happened, but they were like, good riddance, like this is what you needed to do to like you kind of said, like have that fire under you and like be uncomfortable and grow from that uncomfortableness. And that's one thing that my mom has kind of like keeping me kind of like, anytime I get a little bit antsy about like financial landscape of things or stuff like that, like you said, like you're good, you have a place to stay, you have food and stuff like that. So I guess that having a good support system definitely helped with the decision, or it kind of helped with visualizing what my life would be like without having that stability from corporate.
That's a really good
Yeah.
answer. That actually wants, I want to
Mm-hmm.
bring back a point where you said that support system is super important. My parents, like, since they retired, they've been world travelers. They travel
Oh
all across
wow.
the world and they love to watch like YouTube travel
Yeah.
influencers. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that gave them like some perspective too. Like, oh, like,
Definitely.
I think Jenna can do this. Like, she can make money
Mm-hmm.
from it. Like, having a
Yeah.
support system. I've been very public about this on social media as well
Yeah.
as you. You know, you literally like made a TikTok when you got fired and
Yeah.
like you make everything public. So, like the
Mm-hmm.
highs, the random days, like does
Mm-hmm.
putting your business out there so openly make the fear louder? Like does being visible raise the stakes for you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I just made a video the other week, and it was like it wasn't until recently that I was this vocal about things, especially expressing like what I want to do and what I want to accomplish. Like growing up, I always kept things very like internal and like close to me, of like I had a lot of interests growing up, but I never really expressed some of them. And it just wasn't until recently it was just like, I'm gonna start, just saying what I want to do and not really caring, because I have the mindset of like, if I say something like, okay, I'm gonna go to Mexico in June, and I tell everybody, and then it doesn't happen, then it's like, damn, like I didn't go to Mexico, like I'm embarrassed now.
Mhm.
And I kind of just stopped having that mindset of like, things happen. Like I could say today, hey, I'm gonna go somewhere, and it doesn't happen. And I guess I just kind of stopped being so hesitant to express everything. And then it's just taught me a lot about myself. And I don't know, it makes me, I feel like saying things aloud just brings more confidence. And it also is like a little bit of fire of like, oh snap, I just told 50 people I'm doing this. So like now I have 50 more reasons for me to like make sure that this happens. But also at the same time, I know just because they're watching, it doesn't bring my value down or bring my
Mm.
value up. My value will always come from me. If I get a hate comment or something, or, oh, I don't like this, it's like, all right,
Yeah.
now what?
Yeah, exactly. I think,
Yeah,
yeah, you,
yeah.
it seems like you were instilled in that. Like you had that
Mhm.
confidence. You're like, I'm gonna do this with
Yeah.
whether I have haters or not.
Yeah.
But also
Mhm.
understanding like you also are human. And when you
Yeah,
tell this,
definitely.
you're like, oh
Mhm.
crap, like if I'm saying this, I have an
Mhm.
accountability now to bring it
Yes.
to
Yes.
life. And you'll also find your
Mhm.
people too. You'll find community from
Definitely.
that because
Mhm.
you're more relatable. I find
Yes.
that people love relatability.
Some people use social media as like a highlight reel, and sometimes it
Yeah.
gets me down too whenever I'm like, oh my goodness, they're living large until like, you talk to them or you meet them. And this happened to me recently actually. There's a girl here who is on a similar path of me and hosting events, and she's done a lot in the year that she's been doing events. And so I've always just been like, dang, like she must be, making this or doing this and doing that, until we actually talked and connected. And I like looking at her, I was looking at myself whenever I first started the company, and she just ranted about, all the bad that's going on, and just meeting her versus like what she posted online. And not saying she just posts highlight reel, because she doesn't. That was a great reminder of myself of like, Alexa, like there's some real stuff that's happening outside of that. So that was just a great reminder to be like, keep posting the realness.
I always say
Mm-hmm.
like you choose your hard. Working a nine to
Yes.
five is hard.
Yes.
You know, you
Mm-hmm.
are abandoning that
Yeah.
self that and that leads
Mm-hmm.
to resentment and anger. And
Yeah.
that's what I don't want in the future is being 60 and being like, why didn't I try this? And you know,
Absolutely.
you talk to your friend about like the reality of what,
Mm-hmm.
what she had to go through. And that's like the next
Yeah.
segment. Let's get into the reality because I think
Yeah.
that we're not just talking about building something, you're actively doing it right now. And what
Yeah.
does that look like? Like, let's say this week, for example, like what does that look
Yeah.
like for you?
So this week, I guess we can go like lane by lane. So for Young and Stamped, I'm currently planning like a European inspired event, which is supposed to take place the first weekend of June. So this was just a crazy random idea that I decided, and I posted a TikTok video being like, "Is anybody interested in an event like this?" Kind of blew up, and so a lot of people were interested. So that from that video, it's like finding a venue, which I found. And so now this week, I'm just working on securing like furniture rentals, getting quotes for that, getting quotes from two DJs who want to play music at the event. And then I need to do like a venue tour. So I'll be going to the beach sometime this week and just checking out the venue. Also creating like the social media flyer for that. And then I also need to create the booking page, which I'll probably do that on We Travel or maybe Eventbrite or something. Looking into the future of like what other trips do I want to host this year, or do I want to focus on next year, because it is such a weird time right now in the travel industry. A lot of things are expensive, so I want to be kind of conscious. For Avari, the travel agency, and Age social media, both of them are kind of same of building up clientele, because those are, client base. I don't make any money unless I have clients book. So for both of those, I'm also posting on Instagram and TikTok pretty much daily. For Age social media, I just posted like behind the scenes of me capturing content of a branding photo shoot to let people know that, I'm open to projects and stuff. And so really what it looks like is just posting on social media to get clientele. That would be kind of like the simplistic line of all the companies. It's just building up the building blocks to get the clientele kind of like coming in rolling, because that's like the next step of like working for myself, is making sure that I'm like making money. And so for everything, it kind of just depends on marketing and getting myself out there and retaining clients.
And you're doing this all by yourself. You don't have
Yeah.
like a team.
Mm-mm.
No.
No, I don't have a team. Yeah, just a lot of
Yeah.
building.
I want to touch base. I
Yeah.
want to touch back on a few points that you were mentioning.
Mhm.
When you are posting TikToks and you blow up on
Mhm.
TikToks, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes blowing up and going viral doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean like traffic towards like
Yes. Yeah.
like your businesses. So how do
Mhm.
you integrate that, or have you ever
Yeah.
experienced like
Mhm.
being going viral, but then nothing really
Mhm.
coming from it?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what I tell like people when they hire me for like strategy for their business, is like going viral is like never the goal. You want like
Mm-hmm.
client retention or sales. So in my case, my mailing list is like everything. It's like I've always said, I don't care about the views. How many new contacts did I get? So for example, I had like two videos back to back get like 40,000 views each. So I got about 80,000 views from two videos. And from that, I had 400 people join my mailing list, which is like
Wow.
amazing. And so this was right before I sold out of my North Carolina ski trip. And so I would say 98% of all my clients from Young and Stamped come from TikTok. And so, especially with TikTok kind of being sold and being bought and going through all these different restrictions, it is like my biggest social media account. So I need to make sure that everybody that sees me on TikTok knows to join my mailing list, because if that app goes down, I don't want to lose. I think I have like 18,000 followers or so. I don't want to lose those followers because I didn't have
Mm-hmm.
the system set up. So yeah, for me, it's that mailing list for Young and Stamped. And then, yeah, that mailing list is everything. Like, if you don't have something like tangible or like a mailing list, or like I know people do like Substack or something like that, like you need something that's like concrete, that like won't go anywhere. And so, yeah, that's like my gold mine.
And you mentioned like Avari on top of your
Hmm.
Young and Stamped, and how it's more
Yeah.
of a luxury brand, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
But it's kind of like a almost like a different service model in a lot of ways. And
Absolutely.
so how did you know it was time to add that layer on and
Hmm.
add that other business?
Yeah. This like the idea of me of somebody hiring me to plan a trips kind of came from the second I started hosting travel with Young and Stamped. I would meet these travelers, and they would be like, "How did you do this? Like, could you help me plan this trip? Could you do this?" But again, at the time, I was balancing working corporate and hosting, so I didn't have any time to create a trip for someone else because I could barely host Young and Stamped trip. So I just put it in my notes app, like many of my ideas that I'm executing now, and I just waited for a time to execute. So, when I was let go, and I finally was just sitting down and just like, okay, how do I maximize, making money with the skill set that I have. So it's like, okay, I just spent the last 2 years planning trips for strangers. I know people need help with traveling, figuring out, where to go or when to go, stuff like that. So it's like, okay, I want to turn this into something that'll also be bigger than me as well. Like, especially like with Young and Stamped, I kind of have it where it's like aged off of like 21 to 34. So it's like I'm getting older as well. Like I started when I was 22, I'm now 25. So I'm like, okay, I also need something that'll be timeless. And again, there will always be young adults for Young and Stamped, but again, I wanted something that was completely separate. And like you said, it's a different kind of service model. And I wanted something that could grow bigger. And again, I could hire people. And so I was like, okay, I want to do the custom travel planning, especially because people want experiences now more than just, oh, we went to Florida. It's like, oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
well, we went to Peru and we did this and this and this. Like people kind of just want more intentional travel. And so I just kind of knew it was the perfect time, especially having the time and then seeing kind of the what's trending in the travel world.
What is something that being a self-employed person has surprised you? Like,
I, that it's a bit lonely at times if you don't have other people that are entrepreneurs or founders, if that makes sense, because they just don't they just don't understand, I guess, certain challenges or like that. Like again, this kind of goes back to like working. It's like they can clock out,
yeah,
they can clock out. Friday hits for the most part. You don't have to think about work until Monday. And for me, it's like, again, I have to constantly think about what I'm doing to get to where I need to be while also having or creating some type of work life balance. And so that's just been one thing I would say. I'm going on 2 months, I think, of being self employed, where it's just like, I don't, and I've, the second I like stopped going to an office, I was like, okay, I still need to be waking up and still
yeah,
need to have some type of structure. And a lot of my friends who work corporate, like, they just don't, again, like I said, they can kind of turn off their job, if that makes
yeah.
sense. And you can't with this.
Yeah, you go from a 9 to 5 to a 24/7,
Hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
that's the
Hmm.
thing about building the thing, like your own thing, is like you don't just
Hmm.
get to love and do one part. You were doing
Yeah.
all of the parts
Everything.
on top
Hmm.
of like your own life and the things
Yes.
that you deal with.
Right.
And
Yes.
that's, and like the parts that are great and the parts that you're still figuring out, you've been doing it for
Hmm.
the last 2 months and somehow
Yeah.
it's still better than a 9 to 5.
Definitely. Absolutely. Like, I've done like so much stuff in the last 2 months, like, so much freedom. I think freedom would be like the base thing. Like I did France, and then like while I was in France, my friend was gonna host a retreat in Bali for other founders and creatives, and immediately I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm going." And so that the power of being like, "Yeah, I can go."
Yeah.
Like I came home from France for like 2 to 3 days, and then the next day I flew out to Bali for 2 weeks. And so in Bali, I not only was surrounded by other people in my position, but also people that, were 4 or 5 years into being their own boss. And I'm, watching them negotiate, 5-figure brand deals and doing this and meeting people that were kind of living the life that I wanted to live. I would have never had the opportunity to go and do that and also sit down and execute everything that I wanted to do. Again, Avari is a great example. Like that would never have come to light if I didn't have the time to do so. And just doing all the little things, taking my content more seriously, like creating like travel resources of, all the knowledge that I've gained in the last 10 years. So yeah, I would say the freedom has been really, really nice. But of course, like I've been freaking out on and off about the whole money aspect. And again, whenever I
Mm-hmm.
was in Bali, I was like, I'm not making any money. Like I'm not making, and my mom was like, girl, like you're eating, you have a way home. And like thankfully I still live with my family, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
my bills and stuff are very minimal. But again, like I know I do want to move out, and I know I will have to pay, for rent and light bill and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, yeah, I'm not paying rent, but I need to act as if I am, so when I get
Yeah.
to that point, it isn't a shocker for me
Mm-hmm.
in a lifestyle sense. So yeah, it's been a lot, but remaining faithful to the idea that that you're going to be successful. And this kind of goes back to that fear again of like potential. Like I feel like,
Mm-hmm.
you've heard it growing up, oh, this kid has so much potential. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like knowing that you do, it's like, oh crap, I have to lock in.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you're
Yeah.
given this responsibility with it too. And
Mhm.
one
Yeah.
of the greatest
Mhm.
pieces of advice I heard, and what you kind of touched on, is like
Mhm.
surround yourself with people that you want to become, like that are
Yes.
better than you. I'm making this podcast. It's like
Yes. I
I
love
get
that.
to promote the person, but in return, I'm
Mhm.
getting all of this advice, like,
Yes,
and
definitely.
being able to like use this advice and give it to others as
Mhm.
well, right?
Yeah,
So like
absolutely.
I don't necessarily know the full picture, but I know that like
Yeah,
I
and
don't
that's okay.
necessarily have like a lot of people in my life that have made
Mhm.
it necessarily
Yeah.
like the way I want to, and that's where that loneliness
Right.
piece comes from.
Mhm.
Is like it's
Mhm.
lonely because you're like there's nobody else to compare, like not like compare in a good
Yes.
way, you know, like give you
Mhm.
that like
Absolutely.
inspiration.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
um, you also mentioned that like when you did leave that 9 to 5, there was still a
Mhm.
structure there. And it's so important to
Yes.
have that structure when
Mhm.
you're unemployed or like don't
Mhm.
really know your next step, because
Mhm.
at least that structure that you build yourself gives you some type of control back in your
Yeah.
life. Like for
Absolutely.
me, I made a TikTok about this where it's like, for me, like, I have my podcast now that carves out an hour
Mhm.
of my day, but I always
Yeah.
go to the gym. Like for 1 hour,
Same.
drive to
Mhm.
the gym, get your workout in, come back. Doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you have
Absolutely.
nothing else that day, you accomplished
Mhm.
something and
Yes.
showed up consistently. Before we wrap up to our last
Mhm.
segment,
Yeah.
I want to keep going here, but I want to make sure people
Mhm.
know where to find you and know what's
Yeah.
actually coming up, because you have trips
Mhm.
happening right now. So tell
Mhm.
them what's live and where to book, and I'll have all of
Yeah.
your show notes at the bottom.
Okay,
Hmm.
perfect. So I think the easiest way to figure out kind of what I'm doing is on my personal Instagram account, because which is just my name, Alexa.Heath, but spelled like Alexia, because in my bio, I kind of have all the companies. So Young and Stamped, Avari, and then Age Social Media. So I have those accounts, which obviously follow along. But then linked in my bio, I have the website to Young and Stamped, I have the mailing list, and then I also have like a link tree of all the trips that we're hosting. So currently, as of May, whatever day it is, May 12th, Albania is live, and Bali in August is live. Albania is next month, so by the time this comes out, I'll probably be in Albania. So I have Bali coming up, but I always say join my mailing list because you'll get notified. You'll be the first person notified about all my trips. And then also follow like me on TikTok. That's like the true nitty gritty, like behind the scenes of like 2 a.m. thoughts of like, wait a second, I think I want to go to El Salvador. And then you
Hmm.
can watch trips like that unfold. And then with Young and Stamped, I just post kind of like pictures and videos of our past trips on Instagram and TikTok. Um, and then with the Vari, I'm not brand facing for that company because again, I want it to be beyond me. So you're not going to find the personal talking to the camera videos that I do for Young and Stamped and for my bit and for my personal brand, um, because I kind of just want to remain not mysterious, but I kind of just want to give that. But yeah, I would just say just follow my Instagram and TikTok for sure, and then join the mailing list.
Amazing. So, okay, if you're
Yes.
listening to this and you've been wanting to travel but
Mm-hmm.
don't want to do it alone, this is literally
Mm-hmm.
the solution. Go check her out.
Mm-hmm.
Links are in the show notes. So,
Mm-hmm.
as we wrap up, like the last segment is called
Yeah.
like who she's becoming while building.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
you're in the middle of building something in real time. 2 months
Mm-hmm.
in, prior to that, you were still building
Yeah.
it. And so, I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to ask you who you've become because you're still
Mm-hmm.
becoming her. What I want to ask is who are you discovering yourself to be through actually doing this?
Mm. I think I'm becoming a more confident person about what I have to offer
Mm,
in the terms of, introducing myself and what can I do. I feel like I always downplay that until I'm in casual conversation. I'm like, oh snap, I have done that. So I think for me, when it comes to like introducing myself to brands that I want to work with, it's being confident and like I've done this, this, and this, instead of just being like, oh yeah. So I think I'm definitely becoming more confident and more outspoken. That's one of the things that I really wanted to do when it came to my personal brand, is just being like, I do this, this, and this 100%, like no ifs, ands, or buts. So yeah, I think downright being more confident and more outspoken with what I do.
I see. And when you're
Mm-hmm.
hosting these travel events, like what
Mm-hmm.
has that taught you about yourself?
Mm, mm. It's taught me that I am a great, maybe mediator. I don't know what the word is. I'm just a great like host or like RA. Like I can just walk into a room and like talk to anyone. But also there's like the 1% of me that is a bit reserved as well. Like I've always described myself as a very extroverted person, but when it comes to, hosting 15 people for a week, it's like, okay, hold on. Like I need to go to my room for a second, but it's definitely taught me that I can make connections between anyone. Like I can bring two people that have probably never been in the same room before, but they could spend the entire night talking. Like that's one thing that I
Mm-hmm.
really pride myself in is like my communication skills. Like I'm always like very warm and welcoming, especially to my people that are coming solo on these trips. Like, I'm not afraid to like ask you questions or, dive deep into like who you are and again connecting you with other travelers as well. I think that's what I'm great at.
It takes a lot of skills to even like plan out a trip. Like I wanted to
Mhm.
like plan a
Yeah.
group trip with like my girls to like Toronto, let's
Mhm.
say, right? And that
Mhm.
alone is a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
You have a lot of
Yeah.
responsibility too when it comes to like
Definitely.
making people in like setting a boundary when it comes to like, hey, their
Yes.
experience is their experience at the end of the
Yes.
day,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
But like you can
Absolutely.
only do so much. You're not going to appease to a
Absolutely.
whole group of people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think that that's a great point that you speak on. It wasn't until I had my own thing that I started to care more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I've been very like I'm an Aquarius, like not to bring like astrology
No,
into
I
it,
love
but I'm
astrology.
very yeah, I feel like okay, yeah. I feel like some people would describe us as kind of like aloof or more logical than emotional, which is a
Mm-hmm.
1000% true for me. But it wasn't until like, people could leave reviews on my trips or do this or that that I started to think about, hold on a second. Let me actually like think emotionally about this in the best way possible, but also touching on what you said. Like, there's only so much that I can do for your experience. And I've always said on my trips, like, I'm going to provide all the things to have a good time, but it's still your responsibility to show up and to talk and make these connections. You know what I mean? And I've
Yeah.
always said this, even on the business account, like, I'm not your mom. Like, I'm not going to baby you. Again, I'm going to, introduce you to people, but I'm not going to sit there and like finish your sentences. Like, I'm not. And I've been very like open about that. But yeah, I've always said, like, hey, I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to give you the building blocks, but it's still your responsibility to have a great time. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's probably something
Hmm.
you had to learn along the way is like I can't appease everybody and you
Yes.
have to like set that boundary.
Hmm.
Before we close here, I wanted
Yeah.
to ask you, what do you want to say to the person who just got fired, like or laid off or let go and doesn't know what to
Hmm.
do yet?
Ooh.
Maybe kind of living that double life of trying to balance,
Yeah.
right? And
I would say, and I recently started doing this, I would say the last like year and a half, but like really sitting with yourself. And I love to journal. Like I would say I've been journaling pretty much daily for the past 2 years because for me it's like I just need to write it and release it and read what I'm feeling. So I would say sit down with yourself, write it out. If it's maybe you don't want to write, record a video of yourself just talking about, what you want to do, the life that you want to live, and know that like no idea is too big. That's one thing that I've really been vocal about these last 2 months because I've started to witness it that like anything can happen to you if you have the right mindset. I'm a big advocate for not having a limited mindset because the second you think that you can't do something, you're never going to do it. So, if you want to do, again, I would love to say, like, don't say like you want to be an astronaut, you're like 29, okay? Like,
you
okay,
can
but like,
still,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, I'm not delusional, but like, really sit with yourself and figure out like, what do you want to achieve? Make tangible goals as well. Like if you have a really big goal of like an example is like I wanted to visit all 7 continents before I turned 27 and I only have 2 more to go. So like every year I made the goal to like try to go to a new continent versus like okay, I'm going to go to all 7 continents this year. So really just sitting down and kind of having like a a little timeline, but
Realistic.
not like a realistic timeline. There we go. But sitting with yourself and finding inspiration within, I think, and knowing that you can do anything, and if they can do it, you can do it too. That's bottom line, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, what I wanna
Mhm.
what I wanna add on to that is like if
Mhm.
it's your calling, it will keep calling you,
Yes,
right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Or even like if somebody's just like, I don't know what my calling is, I have no
Mhm.
idea, even just go back to your childhood. What made you happy?
Mhm. Yes.
I was watching home videos of myself and I loved
Mhm.
being on camera, but my teenage
Oh.
self hated being on camera.
Oh,
And there was a part of
yeah.
me that was like, oh wow, like so many things have happened that's shaped like being compared
Mm.
to or what I look like and how I don't
Yes.
fit the conventional like
Mhm.
look and like it really just shows you like go back to your childhood when you were your most pure
Absolutely.
fun self and that's what you were meant
I
to
love
do.
that.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
I
it's never
literally
too
love that.
late. It's never too late. Yes, you got to be like
Yes.
kind of realistic.
Yes.
You can be a
But you
little
can do it.
delulu, but
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Absolutely,
So,
yeah. No, I agree with you, and I just made a video, like, last week just talking about all the interests that I've had in life and how I've, like, always pursued them without knowing. Literally, like you just said, how, like, you loved, like, being on camera as a kid. Like, for me, I loved having a camera. Like, I've always had a camera since I was a kid, like and then, I started creating content, and then I went to school for marketing, and then it was, like, another, like, big one was kind of, like, modeling and acting. Like, I've always been really interested in it, but it wasn't until about, like, 2 to 3 weeks ago, I said aloud and I made a video being like, "I wanna start modeling," and then I went to, like, a casting last week, and then I'm taking digitals today. So it's just, like, not being afraid to just, like, do what you're interested in. Like, okay, I wanted to learn how to snowboard, and now I have my own board, and I can do tricks and shit, like,
oh
you
my
know what I
God,
mean?
that's
So it's
so
just like
cool.
yeah, so it's genuinely just doing what you wanna do and not limiting yourself. Because I could have waken up and be like, "No, like, I'm 21, like, I can't learn how to snowboard." Like, people have been doing this since they were kids, which is so true, but people also learn later in life, and that's okay.
Yeah, some people
Yeah.
need to wait a little bit later in life to like be able to
Yeah,
gain the confidence to do it and have the
absolutely.
ability, whether that's financial, emotional, like,
Mhm.
and yeah, no, I think everything we talked about today was so beautiful. It was very like Gen
Mhm.
Z coded too, which is amazing because it shows like
Yes.
you can be in your
Mhm.
early 20s, you can be like any age and start your
Mhm.
business. And like
Absolutely.
you just have to have like that little inner drive, whether it's like you're
Yeah.
faking it till you make it, like practice
Yes.
literally makes perfect. Like
Absolutely.
you're gonna see like my first episode and it's gonna be like, what the heck? It's so different than
Yeah,
episode 5. Like you
and I
just have
love
to
that.
start putting yourself out there
Mhm.
and it's only cringy until you make it, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
and I said this to a founder, now we're friends, that I met in Bali, and I said, like, I don't believe in, like, embarrassment. Like, nothing I do is embarrassing. Like, that is just a social construct that, like, we've
Yeah.
created of, like, trying to, like, make you feel bad. And I'm like, "No, I don't I'm like, no, I don't feel embar if I trip, okay, I trip."
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And that just goes I don't know, I just really live by, like
Yeah, I feel like embarrassment just comes
yeah.
from your own perception. So if you don't
Mhm.
think it's embarrassing, it's not going to
Then
come
it's
across
not. Yeah.
as
And she
embarrassing.
was
You
like,
just
"Oh
got to
my
like pick
god." And I
yourself
was like,
up.
"Yeah, yeah."
Yeah, yeah. And then you almost got to like just I don't know, like hold your head up
Yeah.
high and people be like, "Oh, maybe I'm the embarrassing one." Like,
Genuinely. No, for literally for real. Like you said, like, just being confident in yourself, even if you're faking it. Walk into the room head high, like, that's and then you'll see, like, "Oh, wow." And then, like, you'll hear, like, "Oh, you're
yeah.
so confident." And you're like, "Oh, really?" Like,
Yeah.
"Oh, really?" But, like,
Yeah.
yeah, little things like that, genuinely, yeah, especially in the business world, for sure.
Yeah. Like you're gonna
Mhm.
you're gonna go back too and you're gonna have your bad days where you're like, I
Mhm.
don't feel like that today. But
Yeah.
it's like consistently show up to something
Mhm.
and you will
Yeah.
see it. You will see it flourish.
Absolutely.
So, Alexa, thank you so much for having this
Yes.
conversation today. I was looking so forward to it once I saw like your intake form. I was like, oh my God, like I can't wait to talk
Mhm.
to this girl. We have so much
Ah,
to talk about. So, thank you
yes.
so much. And if
Thank
you are
you.
looking for Alexa, please, all of her links are in the show notes below.
Thank you for, like, creating a platform and, highlighting other people's stories, but also, like, showing yourself that you can do it. I feel like of course, are a living example of just not living, within limits. I love that so much. It's inspiring.
Wow. Oh my God. Thank you so much.
Yes.
That's
Yes, of
such an
course.
amazing compliment. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alexa. Thank you so much for listening. I wanted to say something before I let you go. Alexa and I had a very specific thing in common. We both got fired and we both took it as a sign. Like me, she was already building something when it happened. She didn't need the firing to give her permission. She already had given herself the permission. The firing just removed the reason to wait. And I keep thinking about that because I wonder how many of us are waiting for the push when we could just go for it. If you're living a double life right now, doing your thing on the side while showing up for someone else during the day. This episode was for you. You don't have to wait to get fired. You're allowed to choose yourself before the choice is made for you. You can find Alexa at Young and Stamped, and all of her links are in the show notes. I'll see you in the next one. Stay unclocked and unbothered.